We all know the fantasy of the modern farm sim. It's colourful, it's social, and usually by hour 10 it's automated. We have sprinklers in Stardew Valley, we have massive tractors in Farming Simulator, but what happens when you strip all of that away? What happens when you rewind the clock 4,000 years? No electricity, no engines, no magical Junimos to harvest your crops, just you, the flooding Nile, and a debt to the pharaoh. Is stripping away the convenience a return to the pure meditative soul of farming, or is it just punishment? Grab your brew and get comfortable. Today we're looking at Ancient Farm, a title that promises to be the fixer-upper of the ancient world. We are seeing a massive influx of simulation games lately. Every week on Steam, there's a new job to do. Power wash a driveway, flip a house, manage a supermarket. But Ancient Farm, developed by A2 Softworks, tries to do something different. It tries to blend the historical education of a museum tour with the grit of a survival game. But here is a reality check. Indie simulators are often a gamble. They can be hidden gems that steal 100 hours of your life, or they can be broken janky cash grabs that waste your time. My job is to play them so you don't have to waste your money finding out. If you want to protect your wallet and find the actual cozy hits among the misses, make sure you're subscribed. We dig through the trash to find the treasure so you don't have to. Now let's head to the banks of the Nile. So what is the setup here? You play as an ancient farmer who has been granted a plot of land, but true to the fixer-upper genre tropes, this land is a disaster. It's arid, it's filled with rocks, and it's completely devoid of life. The narrative framework is light but effective. You aren't here to save the world from a demon king, you aren't here to date the local villagers, you are here to work. You have to build a temple to the society you live in, and the only way to progress is to turn this dust bowl into a thriving agricultural estate. It's important to set your expectations right now. If you are coming from Stardew Valley or Animal Crossing, this is going to feel like a shock to the system. This isn't a social sim, there are no festivals where you dance with your neighbours, this is a process sim. It is about the isolation of labour, it's about the relationship between you, your tools, and the dirt. The game is played from a first-person perspective, which immediately changes the vibe. You aren't a god hovering over your farm, you are on the ground. When you look up, you see the sky. When you look down, you see the cracks in the dry earth. This perspective is crucial because it's trying to sell you on the scale of the work. You don't just click a square to clear it, you have to walk there. Let's talk about how it actually plays, because this is where the game makes its boldest choices and its biggest stumbles. The gameplay loop is incredibly manual. And I don't mean click once to water, I mean manual. The developers have tried to implement a system that feels somewhat realistic to the time period. You start with rudimentary tools. To plant a crop, you first have to clear the debris, then you have to break up the hard earth, then you furrow the rows. But pause for a second. I'm curious about where you will stand on this. Do you prefer games that let you automate everything with sprinklers and magic, or do you actually like the grind of doing it by hand? Let me know in the comments, team automation or team manual labour. For me, the standout mechanic, and the one that gave me the most mixed feelings, is the water management. We are in Egypt, rain isn't going to save you, you rely entirely on the Nile. However, and here comes the reality check, the execution feels clunky. There is a stiffness to the movement that we see in a lot of budget simulator titles. You don't feel like a fluid human being, you feel like a floating camera with a pair of arms attached. The hitboxes on the rocks can be finicky, sometimes you swing your hoe and it just doesn't register, or it hits the pixel next to the one you wanted. Creates this strange dissonance. On one hand, the concept is meticulous and technical, you have to worry about soil humidity and crop health, but on the other hand, the feel of playing it is stiff, it fights you. It reminds me of the early days of Medieval Dynasty where the ambition slightly outpaced the engine. You find yourself fighting the controls almost as much as you fight the desert heat. It's not broken per se, but it lacks that buttery smooth polish that makes a repetitive task feel like a flow state. Instead of a zen trance, you sometimes slip into work frustration. So if the moment-to-moment gameplay is a bit stiff, what keeps you playing? The answer lies in the progression system. This is the hook that drags you through the sand. The game utilises a classic rags to riches tier system. You begin with tools that break constantly and barely scratch the surface of the earth, but as you harvest your first batches of grain and sell them, you unlock the ability to craft better gear. There is a tangible weight to the upgrades. Moving from a basic shovel to a more complex one doesn't just change a stat number, it changes how efficient you feel. You spend less time repairing and more time farming, but it goes deeper than tools. You eventually unlock process buildings, granaries, bakeries, brick makers. This is where Ancient Farm shines. It evolves from a farming game into a light management game. You aren't just selling raw wheat, you are processing it into flour and baking that flour into bread to sell for a higher markup. This loop of grow, process, craft and sell is the engine of the game. It taps into that primal part of our gamer brains that loves to see numbers go up. Watching your farm expand from a single sad patch of dirt to a complex operation with brick buildings and vast fields is genuinely satisfying. It creates a sense of ownership. You remember placing every single brick. Now I want to take a moment to appreciate the vibe because despite the jank, Ancient Farm gets the atmosphere right. There is a specific time of day in game, let's call it the Pharaoh's golden hour, where the sun starts to dip and the light hits the palm trees and the water just right. The sand turns this deep, rich gold and the Nile reflects the sky. The sound design here plays a huge role. The ambient noise of the wind, the water lapping at the shore and the rustle of the crops. If you put on a good pair of headphones, it is incredibly immersive. If you're a fan of games that prioritize atmosphere and vibes over high-octane action, do me a favour and hit that like button. It tells YouTube that we want to see more hidden indie gems covered on the channel. There is also a profound satisfaction in the cleanup. We see this in games like Power Wash Simulator or House Flipper. Humans love to bring order to chaos. Starting with the chaotic, messy plot of land filled with weeds and rocks, and slowly, methodically turning it into neat, organised rows of green, it tickles the brain. It's visual ASMR. Even if the animations are stiff, the result is beautiful. Standing back and looking at a field of wheat that you planted by hand, row by row, is a reward in itself. But we have to keep it grounded. We are the Tea Time crew, and that means we value honesty. I cannot recommend this game without talking about the frustrations, and there are a few significant ones. First, let's talk about the onboarding, or rather, the lack of it. The tutorial is brief, and that is being generous. The game sort of throws you into this massive area and says, good luck, don't die. While some people love that survivalist lack of hand-holding, here it feels less like a design choice and more like an oversight. This is compounded by the fact that the map system is non-existent. The area you can explore is surprisingly huge, which sounds great on paper, but without a clear map or waypoints to pinpoint your home base, I found myself getting genuinely lost. I spent about 20 minutes in my first playthrough just wandering in circles, dragging a shovel, trying to find my plot of land because I ventured too far out looking for resources. It wasn't immersive exploration, it was just annoying. I vented about this in our Discord while I was playing, and if you want to see behind the scenes of these reviews or just hang out with the Tea Time crew, the link to the Discord is in the description. We'd love to have you. And then there is the UI. It is functional, but it is not friendly. It feels like a standard Unity asset pack interface. Navigating the menus to find crafting recipes or check your inventory takes more clicks than it should. These issues, the getting lost, the fighting with menus, the stiff movement, they accumulate. They are the friction that stops this game from being a true classic. You have to be willing to look past them to find the fun. So what is the value proposition here? In terms of hours, you can easily sink 15 to 20 hours into Ancient Farm just to reach the end of the tech tree and build a respectable estate. The replayability, however, is somewhat limited. Once you have built the perfect farm and optimized your layout, there isn't a massive amount of emergent gameplay or story content to bring you back for a second run. There is a play it once, enjoy the zen, and move on kind of experience. And at its indie price point, that is perfectly okay. Not every game needs to be a forever game. So who is Ancient Farm actually for? If you're a casual player who loves the cute romance of Stardew or the decoration of Animal Crossing, this is not for you. You will likely find it too dry, too lonely, and too janky. However, if you're a hardcore simulation fan who loves Farming Simulator for the realism, or a history buff who is willing to forgive some rough edges just to immerse yourself in ancient Egypt, then this is a vibe worth checking out. It is rough, it is sandy, and it's unpolished, but it is also uniquely relaxing in a way few other games are. For the Tea Time crew, I'm giving Ancient Farm a proceed with caution. It's a diamond in the rough, but you're going to have to dig through a lot of sand to find the shine. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please consider subscribing. I release new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday covering the cozy side of gaming that the big outlets ignore. I'm JT, and I'll see you in the next one.